Okay, we have my 562 here, my Husqvarna 562 XP chainsaw, and I'm going to try to explain a few things that have been going on with these saws. Husqvarna is having a bit of a time dealing with heat issues. These saws do run a little bit leaner than the older saws, but also if you look at the general design, this laid back cylinder here, it's really kind of close to the carburetor. And apparently this divider here isn't keeping enough heat away from the carburetor, and the fuel's turning to vapor. These saws are vapor locking after you use them and let them sit for a while. They heat soak, the fuel vaporizes, and then you can't start the saw. You can't even use the primer bulb to pull some cooler fuel through, because you really can't pump gas with this. You can only pump liquid. So what I did is I bought some of this thermal reflective tape, and this here is the material. It's some type of foil, and it also has like a fiber in it, fiberglass of some kind, it seems, and it's adhesive backed, so you just cut out the shape, get it close as you can. I used a pair of good scissors, marked it out, and used a pair of good scissors and fit it down in there. And the way I fit it down in there is this divider is fairly flexible, and you can lift this little knob out of its keeper and carefully bend it back. You do have to be careful, not bend too much, because this is part of the intake block. You don't want to crack anything or pry too hard. That could cause an air leak. So be careful with it. Anyway, I pried it back just enough to be able to fit some of that material back there. And so far, it seems to have done its job. Anyway, I just thought I'd let you guys know that there's I wouldn't call it a complete fix, but I would say that it's made a difference. It's definitely something worth to try. Like I said about this material at AutoZone, it's 20 bucks. Is to get down in there and put some in between that fuel line you see there. It's kind of ribbed, the ribbed hose you see there, to keep heat away from that line. The reason I did that is because Husqvarna changed the design here. The hose no longer comes up, twists around, and comes into the nipple on the carburetor from the backside. The new hoses come straight up from the tank, and they're much shorter hoses, okay? And they're a lot farther away from this divider. And so far, I've found this heat shielding stuff. I only ran this saw once, and it was really warm and humid today. And it was a little harder to start than it should be when warm, but it did actually start. It improved the vapor lock issue. Because let's think about it, just a few degrees one way or the other can make all the difference. I think this is making a difference, even if it's just a few degrees. I didn't get a thermometer on it or anything like that. I should have done a reading before I put this on than after. That would have given me a better idea, but I didn't think to do that. But anyway, this is just a tip for you guys who are having hot start issues with your Husqvarna 562s and also your 550s. I did the exact same thing with my 550. Also, I forgot to mention that these newer saws come with a cutout here in the top cover, and also this area has been cut out. The older saws had a piece of plastic here, and of course this was just solid. If you have an older saw, even if you don't have heat issues, I would go ahead and make this hole here as best you can to match something like that, and cut this plastic portion out here. That helps get a lot of that heat out. Also, some of the covers had a little extra piece of plastic right here, I believe. If there's an extra piece of plastic here, just go ahead and cut that out and make it look more like this. Anyway, hopefully this will all help you guys. Muffler modding always helps. That gets the heat away from the engine. And that about closes this this video out. Let's see. One other thing I found is these filters don't really seal that well at where they fit here together. So what I do, and a lot of people do, is just add some grease. That seems to do the trick most of the time. These are overall pretty good saws. The 550 and 562 have gone through a lot of updates. That's a good thing. If you're going to buy one, make sure the serial number, manufacturing date on the serial number tag is as new as possible. I'd say 2016 or newer. You know, by the time a dealership gets a saw, it's usually several months old. So, well, there might be some 17s out there by now too. They'll have all the latest updates, the newest fuel line, tank vent, 550. It's gone through a couple different cylinders, a couple different crankshafts, crank bearings. One thing to look out for, if you have some running problems, make sure you don't have air leaks, particularly these transfer covers. They have a rubber O-ring inside. Supposedly they fixed the problem, but some of those O-rings weren't shaped very well, and some of these caps weren't shaped very well. And I actually had to remove these and seal them up with some Honda Bond. Well, that about does it for this video. I'll try to get back with you and let you know in the long run how the heat shielding works. Hopefully it makes a big difference like it seemed to do earlier today.